Today, let's talk about automatic scrubbers. Today, I just want to kind of just go over a few things. If you have an automatic scrubber and you might be having some issues, it's not anything to call a technician or anything about. It's just some troubleshooting things that it may not be operating right, or just something that you can fix that's really minor. One of the biggest issues that a lot of people have is their automatic scrubber is leaving streaks on the floor. When you put the squeegee down, you want to make sure that your squeegee is sitting level on the floor, that it's not tilted too far forward or too far back, because if it's tilted too far forward or too far back, it can leave streaks on the floor. And there's an adjustment on this particular machine right here that will tilt the squeegee forward and back when you turn it. So that is a big thing that you can look out for also if you're having streaks on the floor. The other thing is that your squeegees may be wore. Mine's kind of dirty right now. We've been picking up stuff when we've been stripping floors this summer with square scrub, so it has a lot of dust on it. You might need to take your squeegees off. And I have no idea what mine looks like because I haven't checked it. But simply turn it over and make sure this track is pretty clean right here. This has just got a little bit of buildup right there from stripping floors. So this one really needs to be clean. I have a kink in my squeegee right there. So it's pinched right there. Actually, it's broke right there. And I think I have a feeling what that's caused from. That's caused from transporting it across campus and it got hung on asphalt. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work on these squeegees. I'm gonna have to turn them over, order some new ones. It does look like. But these squeegees can be taken off, and I'm gonna put a link in this video in the description, and at the end, linking to another video on maintenance on these floor scrubbers and how to flip these squeegees over, because they have two sides that you can work with on these machines. But you can see as it's sitting on the floor, that's the way you want it sitting on your machine. You want it sitting level. So you may have to make a few adjustments. Another issue is if your machine is not picking up properly, and that's just check your vacuum hoses to make sure that they are clear of debris. And you have to check right here to make sure that there's a ball in here, has a float valve in it, to make sure that this is not stopped up. And you can see there's a lot of dust in mine. You gotta do some maintenance on mine as well, because it's been used a lot this summer to get it ready for the school year. These just twist off right here, and you can take these off, but you can kind of see that there's a ball in there, and if that's stuck, it's going to cause your automatic scrubber to have a high pitch to it, just like when the back's stopped up. But you got to make sure that this breather and stuff is clear, because this right here is where your motor and everything, you don't ever want to get water up in there, and that's what this is for. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to clean this up really good. Another place to, if you're having problems with it not picking up well, is right here is where all the dirty water and stuff that's coming off the floor is going in the holding tank. It comes up right through here, and yesterday I actually had to clean this. It had a lot of buildup of hair and dirt that had got stuck up in there, and I also slowed your suction down. There's two other things that I have done many times, and it's just a simple human error thing that keeps my machine from picking up like it should, and that is if it doesn't have a good seal on the vacuum. If your lid is sitting a little bit crooked, ever how your machine lid goes down your holding tank, if it's not sealed, you're not going to get a good vacuum. So you got to make sure that it's all good and sealed. And where your drain hose is, you got to make sure that your drain hose cap is on and it's got a good seal, because if it's not, you're not going to get a good solid vacuum. You're also going to leave some water behind on the floor. If your machine's not putting out water, really good on the floor. There's two things here that I would check right off the bat. You should have a water cutoff valve somewhere up under your machine, like right here, and then there's a filter right here where your fresh water goes through. And you just take this filter off, turn it to the left to loosen it, and there's a screen in here, and you just clean that and wash it, put it back on, and then cut your water back on your machine, and then you should be ready to go. But that is a big issue that I've run into many times of not being able to put out water like you should. This machine here is actually marked filter. A lot of people don't even know how to change a pad on one of these. Now, I've had different types of machines, and you may have one of these where you actually had to lay down on the floor and manually take these pads off. And they have little notches in there where your bars on your pad holder actually fit in. It just locks like it would on a burnisher or a slow speed. It's the same concept. It's basically made the same way. But this particular machine right here has a pad release. Anytime that you're turning your machine on, you want to give it a second to run through its cycle to get on. And I'm just going to hit this button right here for pad release. It's going to go, and the pad falls on the floor. And I'm just going to pull my machine backwards and change this pad, because it has those locks on there that fit up in those grooves on that machine. This pad here is ready to be changed. Just change it just like you would on most of the time on a slow speed buffer. This pad has been used on both sides. So I'm just putting a new pad back on there. And while you got your pad off, if you have a skirt or anything on your machine, these actually help sweep up some debris that may be left on the floor, kind of get it up under the machine, and also keep it from slinging water everywhere off your pad as well. But I'm not going to show you how to do that right now for time's sake, but I'm going to show you how to put this pad back on. It's very important that you get this pad back under there. Now, you're not going to get it perfect. You're not going to get it perfect, but it needs to be really close, because you don't want it to get on there sideways, because if you do, it's really kind of hard to get off. So what I like to do is just kind of slide it under there, and I kind of look and kind of just get my machine lined up where I think that's, that's really, really close. And then you can take and let your pad holder down on top of the pad. And I've seen this work with machines that didn't release themselves. This has always worked for me for putting the pad back on. Is you come over here and you hit like you're going to scrub the floor. All I do is just bump it and let the pad driver engage, and it's going to make a click. You should hear it. Okay. And what I had to do is just kind of ease the machine up or back over that pad where it can get in the grooves. So it's locked in place, and you're ready to mop floor. And here's a very, very big thing right here is, well, my machine, it smells like rotten eggs. It stinks. Well, one thing is you've got to clean it out every time you get done mopping. I'm talking, if you mop just a little bit with it, and there's any water in that holding tank and it sits for any period of time, it needs to be washed out. Another thing is your fresh water. If you're going to leave it sitting in the closet for a long period of time, over a week, I should say at least, you need to take it somewhere and empty the fresh water tank, because it is water and it will sour in there, especially if there's detergent in there. It'll get a buildup, it'll get a slime on it. So you need to be able to empty that fresh water tank and that dirty water tank. Wash all this out right here. And you're not going to get every little detail out unless you take a brush or something. And if it's your own machine, it's not a community machine, kind of like this one is, you can keep it clean. And I'm actually really going to clean this one up. We got one more floor to do, and after I get done, I'm going to give this a really good maintenance run through. And the main key thing is when you get done washing it out and you store it in your closets, leave this open right here where it can breathe, where it won't, you know, stay wet in there all the time. You want it to dry out. And I try to leave, if it's where I can, I'll leave this hose right here, my drain hose, after I've washed that, I kind of leave it dangling in my sink. I just leave it there overnight or whatever, and I just let it completely drain out where it's all dry, where there's no water trapped right in here for odor also. Batteries are key. They are key to take care of. These are sealed batteries. We just put these on here just a few months ago, about 7 months ago actually. And it's a key thing that if you have batteries that you have to put water in, that you use distilled water, and you don't overfill them. You just want that water just a little bit over that cell, not very much at all. And make sure you get a good full charge. But if you'll take care of these batteries, they'll take care of you. And here's the thing about batteries on a mop machine, automatic scrub, is this right here. If you can put your machine somewhere where it's cooler, to keep those batteries cool as possible, they will last a lot longer. And there's something that I have seen happen over the years, and I've been guilty of this until I learned better, is we do what we call a convenience charge. Well, what is a convenience charge? Well, say that you coming in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, you start stripping floors. And you're gonna take a 9 o'clock break. And you want to, I'm just gonna charge this machine up because we're gonna take a 15 to 30 minute break here. And I'm just gonna plug this machine up, and then when we get started back up, I'm just gonna unplug it and we're gonna start back using it. Well, the problem with that is these batteries, when you first plug them up, they're pulling all they can to get charged, hard as they can, so they get hot. Well, then you start running the machine and they never have a chance to cool off. So it's really damaging to the batteries. And also, my understanding that cell batteries have a memory, so if you only halfway charge them every time, they're going to remember that, just like you would your cell phone or anything like that. It's not going to fully charge. So these machines, they'll run, about 3 hours if you got real good batteries on them, and you're not pushing them real hard. They need a good 6 hours to recharge. And if your machine is like this one, it has an onboard battery charger. Now, these machines are designed that they will not overcharge. That's what these onboard battery chargers are for. When it reaches to its point, it's going to quit charging to that point. So don't be afraid to leave these things plugged up overnight or over the weekend. It'll be fine. They're designed that way specifically. Now, here's a problem that you could run into sometimes. You need to make sure that your lights come on down here when you charge. You hear the charger running, because there's a little plug down here, and if it's not plugged in, it's not going to charge. That has been a issue over the years. That's got bumped. Some of these cords sometimes have that right in the middle, right here somewhere. You have to make sure that it's connected. And you may say, well, my machine's charged, but it won't run, it won't come on. Well, there's a safety disconnect right here, and it can be different places on your machine. It can be back there where I just showed you where the plug you plug in the wall to your 110 is. But if this is not connected right here, it will not charge. And also, if you have an external charger that has an end that matches this, I've seen this issue too. I've seen people not plug it directly into the batteries charge. They plug it in right here. Well, you're not plugging into anything if you have anything like that. Some of these are made different, but we had one where you actually had to disconnect it from the motor and the battery and plug it directly in the battery with an external charger. And well, when people plugged it in here, it didn't charge. Then you can't work. Every one of these has a place to fill water either in the front or in the back. I've had some where you can fill them there, and also back here. But this only machine here only has one in the front. And you have these little tubes on the side or the back where the red bubble is. It shows how full they are. I run a neutral floor cleaner through our machine. What I try to do is fill it up with water, pretty much almost full, before I fill it up with any kind of cleaner where I won't have a bunch of bubbles and suds. The main thing is this also, don't put too much floor cleaner in here, because if you have a rough surface floor, it will make a lot of suds on the floor. Now VCT, something smooth, it's not as bad, but just have to kind of be careful with that a little bit. I hope this helps you a little bit understand a little bit more about these machines if you don't know anything about them. Some people are intimidated by them, but they're not that hard to run. They're easy to handle. These things, if you'll take care of them, they will take care of you. And you can tell by looking at mine, we have used it a lot this summer, and it is time to do some maintenance and cleanup on it.